Good morning.
Boker Tov, Mario. How are you?
Morning, Walter.
How are you, buddy?
Good. And you?
Very good, very good. Just,
TGIF?
everything's good. Listen, this thing is going crazy. I have somebody came to my office to deliver something. Then they called me. The person tested positive for COVID. But my office is very big, so two of my key people who had contact with this woman on actually Tuesday and Wednesday are now out of the office.
Yeah.
And it's the season and it's a mess. So, just the whole thing is a mess.
It's terrible.
And it's getting tiresome. You just get tired. You can't,
yeah.
and you can't fight it either. You can be as careful as you want to be, but it's not in your hands half the time, most of the time, unless you don't have any contact with anybody anytime. You know what I'm saying?
Morning.
Hello, Harry.
Well,
Okay, we're going to start new parak Sheni, Kol Shah, Chaf Aleph. Kol Shah Shemuter Lechol. During the time that you're allowed to eat, right? We have a machlokas between Rav Meir and Rav Yehuda. Rav Meir allows you to eat in the 5th hour. Well, and Rav Yehuda has you stop. You can eat in the 4th hour. In the 5th hour, it's toilin. Everybody holds in the 6th hour, you have to burn it. So you're not allowed to eat it then. But during the time that you can eat it, you can have anah. And therefore you can feed it to your behema, your chaya, your oifos. And moichel nochri, you can sell it to a non-Jew. Umuter banaso, you are allowed to benefit from it. Ovar zmano, once the time is passed, osir banaso, you're not allowed to have anah. V'lo yasik botana v'chirayim, you can't use it even to burn. To burn your oven. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, ein bir chametz ala sreifa. This doesn't seem to fit into the Mishnah. It says that the mitzvah of bir chametz, you cannot be mavatal, you have to burn it. No, you can destroy it anyway. Af mafara v'zar l'ruach, you can throw it in the wind, or matal yam, or you can throw it in the water. So the Gemara says, "Kol shosh muter la'echol machil." While you can eat, you can feed. Ha kol shosh she'ena muter la'echol eno machil. So therefore, the period of time where you cannot eat, you're not allowed to feed. Leva masnisim to like Rabbi Yehuda. Our Mishnah is not like Rabbi Yehuda. Di Rabbi Yehuda, ha'ike chamesh te'ena oichel. The 5th hour, you're not allowed to eat, but umaichel, it's not. Rameir Oimer, Oichlin Kol Chamesh. According to Rameir, you're allowed to eat the whole 5th hour, and of course, therefore, you're allowed to have benefit. Sorfin Betchilas Sheish. You begin to burn the chametz beginning of the 6th hour. Rabbi Yehuda Oimer, Oichlin Kol Arba, Toilin Kol Chamesh. The chametz is in suspense in the 5th hour, which means you may not eat it, but you don't have to burn it yet. Which lachora means you can have benefit from it. And therefore it doesn't fit this thing of kol shosh she'ena muter lechol eno machil. And he agrees with Sorfin b'tchilas sheish. So Elamai, what are you going to tell me? That the Mishnah is Rav Meir he? Hi, kol shosh muter lechol machil. Then it wouldn't have used this syntax of anytime that is permitted to eat, you can feed. It would say, Kol shasha oichel machil. It's not mutter lech. It's while you're eating it, you can feed it. On Rabbi Barula. In fact, our masnisin is a 3rd shita. Rabbi Gamliel It's not. Rabbi Gamliel oimer chulin necholin kol arba. Truma kol chamesh. The kohanim can eat truma kol chamesh. The sorfin b'tchila sheish. During the time, i.e., the 5th hour, when Kohanim can eat Truma, Yisrael machil chum l'beim l'chayv loifes. That's a time still when Yisraelim can benefit by feeding it to their animals. Now the Gemara wants to know, Lama li lemisna behema, Lama li lemisna chaya. Why did I have to be told that you can feed a behema and feed a chaya, a domesticated animal versus a non-domesticated animal? What's the difference? Sricha. I needed to be told both. The tana behema, the misher chazilot. Now a behema, when he eats, whatever he doesn't eat, he comes to like hide. And he leaves over. And therefore, you can see it. And you're not going to get into a problem. But wild animals, whatever they don't eat, they hide. And therefore, that might be a problem by feeding them. So I would think aim a low. So I had to be told, no, that you can feed a chaya as well. Vitar chaya. And if you told me I can't feed a chaya, because of this problem of hiding it. Sometimes they'll leave it over. You won't think about it. Maybe I would think you can't feed a behema either. Tzricha. So then oifoi slamali. What about birds? So it's just to be complete. I did a tana behema v'chaya tananami oifois. Then it says you're allowed to sell it to a non-Jew. Umochro l'nachri. So pshita. I mean, if I can have a no, of course I can sell it to a non-Jew. So lafuka behai tana. It's to show us that we don't hold like the following tana. The Tanya. Beishamai orim lo yimkor odem chametz l'nachri. You're not allowed to sell your chametz to a non-Jew. Ela im ken yodea bo sheyichle kodem Pesach. Beishamai shita is that you have to make sure that the Gentile is going to consume all the chametz before Pesach. However, Beis Hillel doesn't agree. Kol shosh mutar lechol mutar limkor. You're allowed to sell your chametz, even if you know that he's not going to finish it. Which is how we sell our chametz. Rahum bebeseira oimer, kutach. Kutach is like a mayonnaise. It was a milchik dish, and they would use it as a dip. So it takes a long time to get rid of mayonnaise. Kutach v'chominei kutach also limkor shloshim yom koron lePesach. He basically agreed with Beis Shammai that if you cannot sell mayonnaise to a non-Jew within 30 days because they're never going to finish it. Okay, then it says mutar bana. During the time that it's permitted to eat, you can have ano. I mean, if I can eat it, of course I can have ano pshita. So lo tzricha shecharcha kodem l'zmano. You burnt it, you singed it, and kamash belong to the Rava. So this is like Rava, Dama Rava, charcha kodem zmano. But if you singed it before it's time with the bana, afil lachar zmano. He doesn't hold that you have to render chametz not to be leroy achilas roy lachilas kelev. According to the other opinion, once you render chametz to a point where a kelev will not eat it, then even after the zman, it's not a problem to have such chametz around. But according to Rav, once you singe it, then you can have benefit from it, even after the zman. Because it's not called chametz. So the Gemara says, pshita. So lo tzricha l'shos drabanan. That means, what about the 6th hour, where the prohibition of hana is midrabanan? So what happens in that time? Whoever makes kiddushin from the 6th hour with even expensive wheat, ein choshim lekiddushin. The rabbis have said it's not worth anything. So even l'shos rabbanon, According to Rava, if you singe it, you're allowed to have anah from it. Then it says, Lo yasik bo tana v'chirayim. Lo yasik bo tana v'chirayim. You cannot use it to use it as fuel for your oven. Maybe it's for Rabbi Yehuda, who says the only way to get rid of chametz is through sreifa. I might have thought Rabbi Yehuda mitzvah b'sreifa. I might think that according to Rabbi Yehuda, you're allowed to benefit from the fire as you're burning the chametz. Kamash malan that you're not. That's why it says lo yasik bo tana v'chirayim. Amar Chizkiya. Minay l'chametz b'Pesach shasur b'noah. How do you know that chametz, besides not being allowed to eat it, you're not allowed to benefit from it? Shenemar lo yeyachel chametz, lo yehebo heter achila. There shouldn't be any kind of achila, even for somebody else. So time the kasser rachmana lo yeyachel chametz. Haloi kasef lo yachel. Let's say it would have written lo yoichal. Havamina isra achila mashma isra na lo mashma. So any other version of the word don't eat, like lo yoichal, lo toichal, lo soichlu, that would not imply isra na, which upliged Ravavo. Dom Ravavo kol makom shenemar lo yoichal, lo soichal, lo soichlu. Any kind of language of not eating is echad isra achila ve'echad isra na mashma. According to Ravavo, you already have Isser Hana built in. Unless the Torah specifically allows you to eat it. Like it says by Nevela, you can sell it to a Gentile or you can give it to a ger. Tanya, lo yisoich kol Nevela. Don't eat a dead carcass. La ger asher b'sharecha titnena v'achala. To a ger in your area, you can give it, or machor l'nochri, or sell it to a non-Jew. Now, I might think that's dafka. You must give it to the ger. You can't sell it to the ger, and you cannot give it to the Gentile. You have to sell it to him. How do I know that that's not true? I can sell it l'ger b'mechira minayin. Talmud lomar. Lager asher b'sharecha titnena o machor. That means you read the pasuk with both verbs. How about lanochri b'nesina minayin? How do I know if I can give it to a Gentile if I want? Talmud lomar titnena v'achla o machor lanochri. Nimtza soimer echad gev echad nachri bein b'mechira bein b'nesina div Rab Meir. Rab Meir says you can do whatever you want with the nevela. Rabbi Yehuda says no. Dvarim kichsavan. It's as it's written in the Torah, like ger b'nesina nachri b'mechira. Why? My time, Rabbi Yehuda. Isagadak k'dam Rab Meir. Because if Rabbi Yehuda is going to hold like Rab Meir, lichtuv rachmana lager asher b'sharecha titnena v'achla u'machor. The O in the middle of the pasuk, lamali. Shema minol divram. It's to cut it up and to say you can only give it to the ger and sell it to the nachri. What does Rab Meir do with that? The O has a purpose. Because lahagdim nesin the ger l'mechir denachri. There is a preference. We'd rather have you give it to a ger than sell it to a Gentile. And Rabbi Yehuda, how does he know that halacha? He needs O to separate. A ger, you have a requirement. Ger v'toshav v'chayimach. By the way, ger, we're talking about a ger toshav. We're talking about a non-Jew who lives in your land and keeps the 7 mitzvahs. We're not talking about a regular ger tzedek. You're not allowed to give a ger tzedek cannot eat nevela. We're talking about a ger toshav. Now, a ger toshav you're allowed to keep alive. A Gentile who doesn't keep the b'nei mitzvah, the sheva mitzvahs, you're supposed to kill. So kiven the ger atam mitzvah lach yosef, the nachri yatam mitzvah lach yosef. I don't need a pasuk to tell me that I have to be magdim nesina de ger. Svarahu. So Bishmal Rav Meir Damar Echad Ger Vechad Nochri Bein B'Mechir Bein Nesina. According to Rav Meir, who says I can do whatever I want, I can give it, I can sell it. So Midiitzrich Krol a mission available. I needed some special words in the pasuk to tell us that you were allowed to benefit from the vela, implying that when it says lo sachlu, right? Hakol Yisrael Shabbatorah Asurin Bein Bachila Bein Bano. With just the words lo sachlu, it's not just a matter I can't eat, I can't have anah. But El Rabbi Yehuda Damar Lidvan Kechsavim Udahasa. No, that it was to teach us the special din of giving it to a ger or selling it to a Gentile. How do I know all other prohibitions in the Torah that they're also bana? So it says by treifa lo sochlu, and then it says lakelav tashlichunoso. You can throw it to a dog. Over there, you can learn the din that otherwise lo sochlu means don't eat and don't have anah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so tomorrow night at 6:30.
Okay.